I have in front of me the leftover lemonade from yesterday, from last night of yesterday. And I owe myself and I owe the camera that I pop open a new bottle of lemonade if I'm gonna use the camera and make a video. But I am fretting. So I have a fretting bottle of lemonade in front of me. uh, it's fretting because I didn't pop it open on the camera, and I would like to describe that the bottle itself, once empty, it cannot give me what I needed out of the bottle to begin with, why I even have itself, which is the lemonade inside the bottle. I have been talking to the stock that I consume since, I don't know, the past few years, from time to time. I talk to it because I am old. And I'm too old. I'm past the dispute that a human would talk to me and give me what I need. So I talk to the food packaging, God of the food, and water about that I need it. And I think that I can see God a little about that He's present with the food that I need. Maybe it would be more if there weren't other people who were like in the public food supply and making it so that I can't really get what I need myself out of the store. I just can't. I can't figure it out. You people are shunning around the stock, and I can't get to it that way. You say no to me because there's something that is a debt there, and it's not really myself making the debt. It's you chewing up that I'm alive here. I don't have any potency to decease you, and you. There's no such thing as that. But you are not deceased to myself, and because I am deceased, I don't decease you, and I lost custody of myself, and I don't have access to the food and clothing and shelter that I need for myself. The flavor of lemonade this is punch lemonade, paradise punch lemonade. I really love this lemonade, all the Calypso lemonades. Calypso is, there is in the movie Beetlejuice, somebody in the movie said, I didn't even know I could do the Calypso. And the Calypso, there was a song and some kind of dancing around a dining room table in the movie Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton. So I like Calypso lemonade because it's a little reminder of the movie Beetlejuice, which I love since the 1980s, 1987, something like that. I have hunger and thirst, even though I have obstructed access to the food supply. And I don't have hunger and thirst for your needs to obstruct myself in the food supply, having to do with you are not in advance of being an obstruction to myself, having access to the food supply. You are not in advance of yourselves being there. that you are elsewheres. You're doing jails and prisons from my point of view, but you're not supposed to hear that from me. You're supposed to live alive and land in jails and prisons like you jumped out of an airplane and landed on the ground. Gravity to the earth should put you in jails and prisons. There's something about you that's unnatural to myself. For what it's worth, I watched a YouTube video, a short video. I don't know if it was exactly a short. I don't know if it was 3 minutes or less, but I saw a video of skydiving out of an airplane. And I'm not convinced as to how long it takes to jump out of an airplane before one has impact with the ground below. I was wondering to myself if maybe the video was longer than it would really be from my point of view, which is if I was God and I was going to create you to jump out of an airplane, you would hit the ground in about 6 seconds. Like if you were riding a bull in a rodeo. And the video was longer than that. It was quite some time they were flying, and I mean, you're not a bird. I don't make a human fly like a bird. Yeah, out of an airplane, that's the wrong. And I've seen it so many times on YouTube. I'm wondering if you're not scared enough by God that you not jump out of an airplane at all. And I saw an airplane that looks like I would not board the airplane because the seating is not adequate. It's not adequately furnished in there. And then you want to jump out of the airplane because there's something wrong with the airplane itself. Like you should have never been on that airplane. Why aren't you elsewheres? The few of you I'm talking about, the YouTube video I saw today, God knows which one that is. And I just want to know why this group of people even boarded the airplane. And then they jumped out as skydivers, but it was not a desirable airplane to be on ever. You didn't just look in the airplane and say, no, and turn around and leave. And then you're not a skydiver that way. Fretting. I was going off subject to a landlord I met with a walk up a flight of stairs to an apartment on a second level of an apartment building of just 2 levels. And he said he was a skydiver for the military and he survived to become a landlord. Well, I liked something about the apartment, but I did not say yes that I would live there. And I think it's because the kitchen wasn't quite right for me. It needed renovation. So the skydiver, he did not renovate the kitchen. He did not say that he would renovate it for that. I said no to the apartment for that the kitchen needed renovation. So he didn't renovate it for me. But if he renovated it for himself, um, I guess I like something about the apartment I would have rather been there, which is I like the bedroom. It had little tiles on the floor and the doorway threshold that were colored, and I like that. On to the next fretting problem. Why are skydivers causing God to fret for that they are jumping out of an airplane and God will take care of it for them? That's you creating fretting in God, and I fret right here that I don't have full height anymore, and I would not walk to a nearby supermarket and shop for what I need to eat and bring it back here to this apartment and prepare it for myself and eat it. I can spend my days doing that. I can be here as long as I want doing that, but I don't have full height anymore, so I can't do that without being full height. Yes, but I have that I'm fully developed now. Before, when I was growing my height as a youth, so I would be at this height, I would be about 12 years old, and I'm 48 years old, and I'm the size of a 12-year-old. Why would I have a problem like that? I am pointing it out that I think there's something wrong with that. That means I don't need the problem. So why would I be watching skydiving on YouTube and you don't know what kind of problem that is to yourself elsewhere that you don't want? We know you don't want the airplane when it's up in the air and the seating isn't comfortable and you don't mind jumping out the airplane, but who's going to take care of your landing? That's God who has to take care of that you're landing. But you're like sub-self that you didn't just don't get on the airplane. Somebody didn't tie you up? You're not tied up to get on the airplane. I don't believe that about YouTube. Well, it's threatening that somebody could tie you up and tie you into an airplane involuntary and then untie you and push you out of an airplane door. Is that what you want? Because you just walk onto the airplane, sit down, you stand up when it's in midair, and then you go to an open door and you jump out. Who's forcing you to do that? Because you're threatening that God is forcing you to do that. And I don't know God that way. Nope, I don't have enough leverage to be tied up and be here. I'm deceased out of the form world because I don't have the leverage that I'd be tied up and I'd be here. And I'm not voluntary to be here. Not at this place in my life. I mean, elsewhere, but here I don't have full height, so that's how I can describe that it's not voluntary. Yes, God's in the threatening that there's a pilot who's flying an airplane that should just be in park. So God is tied up that way in the property. But I don't have the leverage on myself. I don't know which way it's supposed to be. Because if you had the leverage of myself being tied up, what are you going to do with me after that? Because we are talking about tying up the Godhead, and that is due in a walled-in prison with deceased address, or in a prison camp with deceased address. And I'm going to refer to World War II has prison camps, such as infamous Auschwitz. Well, that's where I would need to be tied up just to bring me there. Not really. I'm already there in that scenario in with you. That means there's prejudice inside the prison, but you don't have prejudice to just find me, tell me, ask me what my name is, tell me to get out. And if I don't give you what you want and need out of myself, that you tie me up. You can't do that. You have to be in a prison for that threatening. You belong in a prison for that threatening. And if you don't know how to get there, I'm not interested in what you're doing in the world, in public. You belong in prisons because you're threatening to tie me up in the threatening. The way you talk to me, the way you lock up the words, and you're waiting, you want to be God to me. If you want to be God to me, you have to be in a prison. You have to know that if you want to be God to somebody who's not yourself, you must be in a prison. Already, that means you're not really in process to get there by talking about how you want to be God to somebody else. You'll not get to prison doing that. You need to be malicious. You need to go into a prison because you want to be God to somebody in a prison. And you have to tell the police that you don't want to be God to somebody in the public. You want to be God to somebody in the prison because that's the order. Well, if you don't get there by stating the order, you have to do process to go into a prison. That means God has prejudice on your individual bodies. But there are so many of you, I have to break the ice here, that you have come up to me and asked me if you could be God to me instead of myself being God to myself. And and you don't have it in prejudice in your appearance and the way you're formed and how you're alive and how you're near myself. And God is making alive for myself, and that's not really why for myself. And there's so many of you. I could go down the list of names right now, but it's just not true that you're alone. If I make the name known here, you are also surrounded by other people about yourself that are not you by name. Your names aren't really, because there are so many people with so many names, they're not enough to be a named body. You don't have alive that way with the name. Fretting. So God is fretting with his creation omnipotence. He's fretting about his motor vehicles. Does that include airplanes? Do I say airplanes as well? Okay, airplanes. Um, he's fretting about buildings, the formed world, everything formed, and how it's the movable parts are fretting. But I don't speak for God exactly that way. I have my own fretting of population control of people who I don't move around and their creator. I don't actually move the creator. I can speak to the camera here and I can turn it on and off, and that's about it. I don't actually move the creator. I can't. I don't move it around. You're supposed to be in jails and prisons, and you don't go for that reason. It's not due. If you can see this video, just go to jail because I don't move you. You have to tell them the soul of the superior founder is alive, and there's nothing it can do to control myself. So I should just go into jails and prisons because I'm alive over that. You're alive over that. Yeah, I don't go to jail for that reason because I'm just myself and you are everybody who's not myself. You're the whole world population of 30 billion count shunts. I can't go to jail for you. It's not proportionate. It's not true. It's not true that you're just one person when you're speaking to me one at a time. It's true that you talk over your prejudice because you don't want any prejudice, and that's you need to go to jail and prison for that reason. You must. You must. I will not give an inch. I'm not going to change who I am for you because I'm in order and I alive the formed world is in order and I am what is that. I am the constitution of what alives the formed world and I don't actually change. And it's now and it's every now. I alive the formed world in every now. I can't give up my now for your now. My now is bigger. My now is truly now for you as well. Your now is not now for me is due to myself.